Good afternoon. We begin in Oshawa, where uncertainty is looming over the GM assembly plant.
We are hearing there could be layoffs on the horizon. CTV's Beth McTonnell is live in Oshawa with what is known so far. Beth.
Michelle, the union Unifor says the possible number of layoffs could be 700 general labor employees and up to 1,500 workers through the auto sector supply chain. I'm going to explain. The union says TFT is a subcontractor that works inside the Oshawa plant. More than 800 workers who do line side delivery and general labor on parts before they hit the line could be affected, part because of their numbers. They must be given a heads up before any permanent reduction. So in July, the company issued a 12-week notice. That could mean layoffs as of September 26th. And back in May, it was announced the GM plant would go from 3 shifts to 2 shifts. But the union says that third shift says that is still working. And the union says that TFT may want their workers around for a time, creating layoff speculation.
But TFT, the company, has the ability to extend that date if the third shift is still working. So there's been no indication from General Motors that there'll be an earlier date other than the November timeframe which they previously stated.
The union says anytime there are layoffs, there is a ripple effect through the supply chain and will be working hard to fight any layoffs. It is hoping that the Prime Minister can land a deal with the U.S. so the auto sector is treated fairly. Reporting live in Oshawa, I'm Beth McTonnell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Well, TIFF is now in full swing. The red carpet has been rolled out for the premiere of Christie, starring Sydney Sweeney today.
It follows night 1, which highlighted Canadian contribution to the festival with the documentary Candy, I Like Me. And what one star was wearing last night is also drawing some attention today. CTV Sean Leathong is live with more TIFF coverage. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, actor Ryan Reynolds was wearing a suit that had particular Canadiana flair to it last night. What he had was a suit that had been altered by a company called Judy, and the company that's owned by a woman named Judy Carter, and she also owns a store called Lo Muskoka. It was a very interesting alteration to a Bruno Cucinelli corduroy suit that had certain Canadian flair embroidered inside out, and it also had photos of John Candy, a book that John Candy had come out with several years ago, just to give it that extra feel that Ryan Reynolds really wanted when he was on the red carpet last night. And when asked about the suit, he spoke last evening. Here's what he had to say.
Little plane, a train, an automobile there. I don't know. Got some picture of him. On the back, I got his coordinates from Newmarket, Ontario.
Turn around. Turn around.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we went all out. A woman named Judy did this. She lives in Port Carling. Judy Carter is her name. And she just like, I was like, Judy, my suit didn't make it, which is true. And she, like, made this happen.
So the actual story of how this suit came about was a bit of a chance encounter. Now, I talked to Judy Carter a little while ago about how it all started. She said that she was working late one night in mid-August in her store, which is Lo Muskoka up in Port Carling, when she saw some face pressed against the glass and decided to open the door. And here's what happened next.
So I opened the door and it was Blake, and she came in and said, my husband is going to love these shirts. So I do this whole section of my store is upcycled vintage, where I'll take a shirt and I'll crochet. And she literally took some home of her own for her and immediately came back saying, he's stolen my jacket. I need more for him. So they took a bunch home. And then days later, he comes into the store and he's wearing my shirt. And I was sort of like standing there going, hi, trying to be cool, trying to be fine and not make him feel uncomfortable, and everything's fine. And then he said how much he loved them. And almost a week later, he came in and Blake sort of looked at me and said, my husband has a special project for you. And I knew he was going to TIFF, and I knew he had sort of figured out what he was wearing. And he came in and he said, so my suit didn't arrive and I've had my own suit shipped up. Could you please would you have the bandwidth to work on it? And I was like, yeah.
So she said they spent the next several days working together, and she said it was a true collaboration between herself and Ryan Reynolds. And once the project was done, she described him as being incredibly grateful, which altogether was an amazing experience. Carter said she actually came down to the film festival last night and was on the red carpet, which is truly amazing. Now, where I am right now in front of the Princess of Wales Theatre means the stars will keep coming. Sydney Sweeney will be on the red carpet here today for her new movie, Christie, where she actually plays a boxer. And Sweeney actually gained 30 pounds to feel the role, and we're hearing that there was some actual fighting done. So I'll ask her how much fighting she did in a little bit. We'll have more coming up at 6 o'clock. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
That movie sounds good, too. Thank you, Sean. We'll have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. It's a good-looking Friday, lots of sunshine. We're in the 20s, but there are some concerns and a special weather statement to keep in mind. Lindsay Morrison is here with how things are looking right now. Hey, Lindsay.
Well, Nathan, it is a special weather statement for us here in the GTA, but it's a wind warning for areas along the shoreline of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Hold on today. The winds could be gusting upwards of 70 kilometers per hour, and in some isolated areas, maybe up to 100 kilometers per hour. So these are the sustained winds right now, around 40K in Toronto, gusting to about 54 in the last hour. So gusty winds today, but notice the wind direction. Those winds coming out of the southwest, so that's ushering in some warmer air. As a result, our temperature is expected to get a little bump today. We're at 19 degrees right now. There is some active weather expected, again, in the areas included in that wind warning, mainly in the form of lake effect rain showers. For us, it's just a chance of a shower, and look at that high, 25 degrees for this afternoon. Things are going to change heading into the weekend. We'll take you through the forecast coming up. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, a man has been rushed to hospital after a shooting in North York this morning.
Gunshots were fired at a parking garage in the Donway West and Don Mills Road area. CB24's Courtney Heels has more.
Police and paramedics were called to this condo that's right next to the shops at Don Mills at around 8:20 this morning. They say the shooting happened in the underground parking garage of this building. You can see outside there are still police cruisers and officers kind of walking in and out, but the focus again is on the parking area. They say the victim, a man in his 40s, was found with gunshot wounds, rushed to hospital. His injuries are described as serious but non-life-threatening. Right now the focus appears to be on getting as much information as possible. We know that police have forensics here, so they're photographing the scene, talking to residents, talking to witnesses. This is a really big building and there are people going in and out. So, you know, the hope is someone who maybe heard something or saw something and will come forward with more information on what exactly unfolded. No information yet on a suspect description or possible arrests. We're just hearing from police. The suspect took off. Back to you.
Well, a man is seriously injured after a stabbing at DuPont and Lansdowne. Police were called to the lobby of an apartment building around 12:30 this morning for reports that a man in his 40s had been stabbed multiple times. Police say he was rushed to hospital by paramedics and his injuries are serious but not life-threatening. We spoke to a woman who lives in the building and saw the victim after he was stabbed.
I went downstairs and I saw the blood, and I saw his face all covered with blood in his body.
You saw he was really hurt.
He was really badly hurt. He was stabbed about 8 times.
No arrests have been made and police have not released a description of the suspect.
Crews are on the scene of a residential fire in Caledon. The CTV News chopper flew over the scene this morning near King Street and Innes Lake Road, where it appears the entire structure was engulfed in flames. Peel paramedics say they got the call around 7:30 this morning. No injuries have been reported at this time. The OPP say nearby residents were forced out of their homes as a precaution.
A Vaughan father killed during a home invasion was laid to rest yesterday afternoon. He died while trying to protect his 4 children during the violent attack over the weekend.
CTV's John Woodward has more on the tributes and the calls for justice.
Mourners at Nashville Cemetery in Kleinberg took turns shoveling earth onto the casket containing the body of Abdul Aleem Faruqi.
He would not hurt a fly. Anytime anyone needs help in the community, he'd be the first one to be there.
The huge crowd here, full of friends and family, many who also attended the funeral service at the Beitul Mosque on Wednesday night.
Extremely emotional. Yeah, It's been a very emotional few days.
He died in the way of God. He died protecting his family.
Protecting his family during a violent home invasion on August 31st at 1 a.m. The father and small businessman was shot and killed inside his Kleinberg home with his 4 children present. The suspect's still at large. Police taking pains to stress they believe this was a robbery. Faruqi targeted only for money. A robbery that shattered a family.
Turn yourselves in. You're cowards. And turn yourselves in. Justice will be served.
It wasn't the only home invasion that night. Officers releasing this footage of one that happened 90 minutes later, less than a kilometer away.
The officers are working diligently to bring those to justice.
This is the 3rd day of mourning, which is in line with the Ahmadiyya Muslim tradition. After this, friends and family will gather at the Faruqi family home. A GoFundMe started by Faruqi's family to raise money for his teenage son and 3 young daughters, now at some $25,000. His children at the cemetery, one talking with York Regional Police Chief Jim McSween, who also spoke with family members.
This shouldn't happen in Canada. We live in Canada. This is family of 4. This wasn't targeted. This was a great guy. This was random. It could have been any of us. And unfortunately, it happened to the best of the best.
And even as Faruqi is laid to rest, his loved ones say their fight for justice will continue. John Woodward, CTV News.
A union representing Ontario public service employees is pushing back on a return to office plan announced by the province last month. The Ford government said it will be ramping up the required number of in-office days for employees to 4 per week later this year and 5 next year. AMAP CEO says it's filed a dispute against the plan, saying it wasn't given required advance notice of the plan to effectively end remote and hybrid work. The union says it's also looking for more information on how the employer chose to take this step. The Premier and other proponents have argued staff are more productive working in person. Critics say that's not true. The Ontario government is marking a major milestone today, breaking ground on the first of 3 stations for the Scarborough subway extension.
As part of the province's plan to address traffic congestion and gridlock. CTV's Allison Hurst is live with the details. Allison.
Michelle, this is the site of the first of 3 subway stations for the Scarborough subway extension, and they have started breaking ground, just as you mentioned, just today. So the crews have been piling work at Scarborough Centre Station, which is expected to accommodate more than 10,000 passengers and facilitate over 7,000 transfers during rush hour. The station will also include a new bus terminal and connect the subway with the GO Transit bus network. The project will cost more than $10.2 billion, nearly double the initial estimate, and will extend the TTC's Line 2 by 7.8 kilometers and replace the Scarborough RT, which was decommissioned ahead of schedule after it derailed in 2023.
Our government is making historic investments in public transit to make it easier to get Ontarians to get where they're going and to protect Ontario from U.S. tariffs targeting businesses and families across the province. The Scarborough subway extension is one of our priority transit projects, and today we are marking a milestone. I'm pleased to announce that we've broken ground on Scarborough Centre Station for the first of 3 stations on the Scarborough extension.
And the transit line is expected to open by 2030. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. To Lisbon now, where officials have confirmed 2 Canadians are among the people killed in this week's deadly streetcar derailment. Flowers, candles, and balloons line a sidewalk close to the crash site in silent tribute to the victims of Wednesday's crash. The wreckage has been removed as a multi-agency investigation continues. And CTV's Scott Hurst joins us now with the very latest. Scott, we're getting more information about the victims in this horrific incident, including 2 Canadians. What else can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Nathan. We're getting this confirmation about 2 Canadians killed in this tragic crash in Lisbon, Portugal, from the Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, as well as officials in Lisbon itself. As we're learning more about the tragedy, as it has taken time to confirm identities and nationalities due to the extent of the damage and the wreckage and the severity of the fatal injury. So in total, 16 people were killed and more than 20 others injured in this tram crash on the streets of Lisbon, Portugal. Travelers to Lisbon taking in and experiencing one of the city's most famous tourist attractions. Most of those killed in this tram derailment were foreigners. So we do know about the 2 Canadians among the dead, a list that also now includes 5 Portuguese nationals, 3 Brits, 2 South Koreans, 1 American, 1 Swiss, and 1 Ukrainian. A woman who has a French and Canadian dual citizenship is among the dead as well. We got that confirmation, Nathan, from the French Foreign Ministry earlier today.
And Scott, what are you hearing about the investigation itself?
Yeah, it is going to be a wide-ranging investigation, a multi-agency investigation that we should get a preliminary report within 5 or 6 weeks, but we are expecting somewhat of a technical update at some point later today to hopefully provide a little bit more insight into what may have caused this tram, this streetcar, this funicular to crash on the streets of Lisbon, Portugal. It had been in service for well over a century and underwent a scheduled full maintenance last year, and the company that operates the funicular said a 30-minute visual inspection is carried out every day of operation, meaning it was last inspected some 9 hours before the tragic derailment that we are seeing. Lisbon City Council, in the meantime, has halted operations of 3 other funicular streetcars in the city, while immediate inspections were also carried out there as well. So we are hopefully getting more updates and some sort of a technical report at some point later today, but a preliminary report is expected to take upwards of 5 to 6 weeks to provide a little bit more insight into what potentially caused this tragic incident on the streets of Lisbon, Portugal. Nathan.
All right, CTV Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
A search for answers is underway at a Manitoba First Nation after a mass stabbing RCMP are calling a senseless act of violence. An 18-year-old woman is dead, allegedly killed by her brother.
And my prayers goes to the people that are in the hospital right now, recovering. Now, and I'll ask the community to continue to pray for them.
Police say 8 people were found severely injured yesterday in 2 homes on Hollow Water First Nation, northeast of Winnipeg. The suspect has been identified as 26-year-old Tyrone Simar. He died after a stolen vehicle he was driving collided with a police cruiser.
Saskatchewan RCMP say they've charged Romana Didulo, who styled herself as the so-called Queen of Canada. This follows a search of the cult leader's compound. Police arrested Didulo and 15 others on Wednesday at a decommissioned school in Richmond. It's a village about 4.5 hours out of Regina. Now, RCMP executing a search warrant seized 13 imitation semi-automatic guns along with ammo and electronic devices. Didulo and another suspect were arrested again on Thursday near the group's compound. Didulo and her followers set up the compound in 2023, claiming she had somehow overthrown the government of Canada.
Staying in Western Canada, wildfire season is far from over across several provinces, including British Columbia. In the Fraser Valley, the Coquihalla Highway has been forced to close due to the out-of-control Mine Creek wildfire nearby. More than 80 homes along the closed highway have been put on alert, with 1 ordered to evacuate. Officials have also expanded evacuation alerts to cover a larger area, where residents must be prepared to leave on short notice.
The House of Commons Speaker is hosting officials from G7 countries and Ukraine in the Ottawa area today.
By bringing you here to this beautiful and peaceful setting, we have set the stage for candid discussions on how we as speakers and presidents of our respective assemblies can help position the G7 to tackle some of the significant challenges facing democracy today. Together, in the face of an increasingly unpredictable global order, we must work harder and recommit to democratic ideals and principles, including to free and fair elections, political checks and balances, respect for human rights, and a steadfast commitment to the rule of law.
Among those in attendance is U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson. Working sessions will involve meetings on online disinformation, political polarization, and violence against lawmakers. The meeting is taking place as part of Canada's role in the G7. Well, fresh off 2 days of meetings with his cabinet, Prime Minister Mark Carney outlined how the government is going to help Canadian businesses adapt to the new global trade reality.
Ottawa's plan includes, among other items, a $5 billion strategic fund to help companies and sectors hit by U.S. tariffs.
First, to help businesses pivot to new products and markets. Secondly, to retrain and retain skills and production here in Canada. And thirdly, to make our businesses globally competitive. So businesses can use these funds to invest in the design of new products, to retool their plants to boost productivity, or to offset the costs of accessing new markets.
Among other measures announced today, a new policy to ensure the federal government buys from Canadian suppliers and a review of the federal government's electric vehicle mandate. They're also introducing a new reskilling package to train 50,000 workers. For more on the Prime Minister's announcement, we're joined by CTV's Jeremy Charon in Ottawa. What are the big takeaways for you, Jeremy?
Yeah, Michelle, look, this is a long list of items the federal government is looking to roll out to help support businesses, sectors, industries, workers impacted by the tariffs, including all of the things you just mentioned. Two of the big ones I want to focus on, the first being the Buy Canada initiative that you just touched on. That will be, a significant shift and a significant strengthening of language when it comes to the public sector and procurement specifically. This is intended to require, when it comes to public sector procurement, that procurement contracts go to Canadian businesses, Canadian companies, that they are using Canadian products. It is already something that exists in the public sector, a focus on trying to get these Canadian products. But the Prime Minister, in explaining it today, said this is a shift from best efforts to a clear obligation to do so. So this could be a boost to Canadian businesses. The Prime Minister talked today about the public sector being an anchor for Canadian businesses. So this is a way to help ourselves, is what the Prime Minister alluded to today, is to ensure that at the federal level, at the public sector level, as much as possible, the requirement will be to ensure that Canadian businesses, Canadian products are being supported. The second big one here, and we've been talking about a lot here all morning, is the change to EV mandates. This is a significant shift away from a Trudeau policy. And what we're going to see is essentially a pause of the EV mandate that was to start in 2026 that would have required all vehicles sold in Canada, 20% of them be either electric or plug-in hybrid as of next year. And that requirement would have increased on a yearly basis until 2035, where 100% of vehicles would have been required to be fully electric or plug-in hybrid. Now the federal government is pausing that, which means in 2026 this will not come into effect, and they're going to review that policy altogether. The Prime Minister was asked today whether or not he would consider scrapping the EV mandates altogether. He did not specifically answer that question, more so focused on the fact that this is a measure that is intended right now to provide relief for the auto sector in the face of Donald Trump's tariffs. But we know that this is a policy the federal government is going to look at again and likely is going to make changes to. So that is, again, a significant shift from a Trudeau policy. It's not the first time we've seen that. One of the first things Prime Minister Mark Carney did was, of course, reverse the carbon tax. So it's interesting to see this government continue down a path where it doesn't shy away from completely shifting away from policies that a previous Liberal government has been very keen on.
CTV's Jeremy Charon, live for us in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Meanwhile, job numbers for the month of August show the Canadian economy is feeling the impact of Trump's tariffs. Stats Canada says the unemployment rate rose to 7.1% in August as the country shed 66,000 jobs. That's a jobless rate not seen since May of 2016, excluding the worst years of the pandemic. The biggest losses were seen in transportation and manufacturing, as well as professional, scientific, and technical services. And it wasn't much better for the U.S. economy last month either, amid uncertainty around President Trump's economic policies. American employers added about 22,000 jobs, well below the 80,000 figure economists had predicted. Unemployment ticked up to 4.3%, the highest it's been since 2021. A White House official called the job numbers disappointing.
Well, happy Friday. We are heading into the first weekend of September with some windy weather today, but hey, at least it's not a cold wind. It's actually quite warm, and our temperature later this afternoon is expected to climb into the 20s, maybe even the mid-20s in some areas. A little bit of humidity out there as well. Tonight, there are several big concerts happening in different pockets of our city. Of course, there's TIFF, and there are a few festivals happening on streets and parks. There's your evening at a glance. By the way, our sunset time tonight is 7:45. We're going to talk about what you need to know weather-wise to help you plan Saturday and Sunday. That's right after this break. You're watching CTV News at noon, and we'll be right back.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, let's talk about the... No, go ahead. I just said you'll start, yeah.
It's a Friday. Yeah, I was going to say that it is really nice to start the day weather-wise. It's just that the wind is a factor, enough to warrant a special weather statement.
Yeah, funny. Yesterday was like heavy rain in the morning. Today it's a totally different weather story.
Yeah, we have a couple of different variety of impactful weather over the next little bit here. And I will say that it's a different part of the province that's going to feel the impacts of not just the winds, but also some lake effect rain showers more than us for today and into the weekend. And so if you have plans to head to cottage country, maybe you're camping this weekend, summer continues for many. I am going to show you some of the active weather that is expected in some parts of Ontario. And of course, what you can expect here in the GTA. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. We talked about the sunset time a little bit ago, but how about a sunrise? This is what it looked like over the city this morning. Bit of a cloud deck there, but still some vibrant colors as we were waking up and heading out the door on this Friday. Yes, weather-wise, things are going to be a little active, a little more active, I should say. East of Georgian Bay, where we've already had some wet weather today, south of Georgian Bay and along the Bruce Peninsula, and for the shoreline of Lake Huron, but we cannot rule out the possibility either of perhaps a quick passing shower here in the GTA. So just be mindful of that. Once again, we'll talk about the winds. Special weather statement widespread around the Golden Horseshoe. The areas in purple are under a wind warning, and that's where the winds are expected to be a little bit stronger today, maybe gusting upwards of 90 kilometers per hour. Some very localized areas could experience 100K gusts. So this is a good day. If you have anything loose on your property that could use some securing, you might want to do that before the afternoon progresses any further. Around 4 p.m., these are some of the gusts that we are anticipating. But again, 70K, certainly not out of the realm of possibility for us here locally. Stronger winds for areas north. Those winds, again, also carrying in the chance of showers. Heading into Saturday, it's once again quite unsettled east of Georgian Bay, Bruce Peninsula. For us here in Toronto, we do expect that it's going to be a dry Saturday, but we could see a little more cloud than sun at times. Sunday, interestingly enough, it's almost the opposite. We expect to see more in the way of sun, but there's a slightly elevated chance of showers as we progress through the afternoon. And then next week, a whole lot of sunshine in store. It is 20 degrees right now. Your red carpet forecast looks pretty good for tonight, aside from the fact that it is still going to be windy into the evening, although better than this afternoon. Winds really ease through the overnight hours tonight. 11 is our forecast low. And then you'll notice that some communities dip into the teens for tomorrow. Others are going to hover at around that 20-degree mark for a daytime high. There's your weekend forecast. Again, a little more cloud for Saturday, but a slightly higher chance of a shower for Sunday. And then let's talk about next week. Highs remaining close to 20 degrees. Could be quite mild into Tuesday and Wednesday, and lots of sun into next weekend. That's the forecast for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. As TIFF marks its 50th edition, there is so much to celebrate.
But as CTV's John Vennavalley Rao reports, it took some time for the event to claim its spot on the cultural calendar.
Welcome to TIFF. While nowadays TIFF is a magnet for megastars, it wasn't always that way. A festival that in 1976 had a rather humble start. It was a big year for Toronto. The CN Tower opened, the Blue Jays got their name, and a movie fest debuted called the Festival of Festivals.
It was small, a little disorganized, but it was amazing.
Initially ignored by Hollywood, early on, among the few American celebrities to show up was Henry Winkler, a.k.a. the Fonz. Then in 1983, a turning point when The Big Chill had its world premiere in Toronto.
That was a big moment because the cast all came up, and the cast was full of actors who went on to become huge superstars.
Actor Warren Beatty turned up the following year, and there was plenty of Canadian star power, too. A festival of festivals that, a decade later, got a name change, something Piers Handling brought about when he took over.
It didn't have film in the title, it didn't have Toronto in the title, it didn't have international in the title.
The newly named TIFF drew even more stars, more world premieres. Movies like American Beauty,
I'll go for D,
and Slumdog Millionaire, which in part because of TIFF was released in theaters.
That was a movie that was supposed to go direct to DVD, wasn't even going to get a theatrical release. TIFF showed it, it became a sensation, it won the People's Choice Award, and then went on to win Oscars.
Among TIFF's memorable moments was Sacha Baron Cohen arriving at a red carpet as Borat in a cart pulled by women dressed as peasants. And Sean Penn famously lit a cigarette during an indoor press conference for all the King's men, violating Ontario's new indoor smoking ban.
One other bit of trivia, at that first festival, an admission ticket to a movie cost just $2. John Benavalli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
3, 2, 1.
And TIFF CEO Cameron Bailey and Mayor Olivia Chow were on hand last night for the reveal of the festival's new star on Canada's Walk of Fame. Walk of Fame CEO Jeffrey Latimer said TIFF isn't just a film festival, but an institution that has transformed the way the world sees Canada.
Still to come, on-hands training to better understand the challenges of family health care. We examine the TMU Medical School's partnership with William Osler's Hospital in Brampton.
Toronto Metropolitan University medical students began classes this week.
And as CTV's Pauline Chan reports, some of the young doctors are working at William Osler Health, preparing to specialize in family practice.
My stethoscope should not be over mine.
Dr. Christopher Haddad does CPR while Dr. Humaira Mehboob administers epinephrine during a code blue in the simulation lab at Brampton Civic Hospital.
Thank you so much. Epi administered at what time is it, Humaira?
You get everything from minor injuries to code blues to spills and accidents and mass casualty incidents. So it's really important to optimize certain protocols in order to make these incidents more efficient for the doctors to do their job and also allow for proper patient care. What's your name?
Training for these doctors, who already have their medical degree and are going on to specialize in family medicine, includes time in the emergency department.
We have such a huge crisis for needing more family physicians in the community that we're actually going to see 49 residents get out into the community.
That's out of a total of 105 TMU residents. The TMU MD program is only a post-grad program.
Just on good call. Right there, yeah.
And Dr. Jobin Varghese, himself a family physician, says the TMU program was designed with the challenges faced by current family doctors in mind.
One of the big things we've done is increase the amount of exposure they have to interprofessional care. And this rehab unit's a great unit for that.
So relying on the network of physiotherapists, social workers, and more to support patient care. Dr. Mehboob says she decided to become a doctor after seeing numerous family members' experiences with the healthcare system.
Seeing how everyone was relieved after meeting a doctor, and that kind of inspired me to go into medicine.
Is she fazed by the burden of paperwork often cited by family doctors?
No, on the contrary, it's more of a challenge for me. I do have a plan. I do plan to use technology, AI, help with the burden of paperwork.
Dr. Haddad says the prospect of following a patient's health through the years attracted him.
I already see the lifelong relationships that I'll be creating over the next 2 years at the same family practice.
Christopher and Humaira will be part of TMU's first graduating class in family medicine. That's the class of 2027. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
After its initial order caused a stir, Alberta's government is set to announce an updated policy on the removal of certain books from school libraries. The government's original order said schools should remove books with images, audio, and written passages with sexually explicit content. Edmonton's public school board then compiled a list of books to remove, including literary classics like The Handmaid's Tale and 1984. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith accused the board of purposely misunderstanding the order. She indicated the new policy would target books with sexual images only. The fashion world is mourning the loss of Giorgio Armani. The iconic Italian fashion designer changed the way people dress with tailored classics before building a billion-dollar global empire.
Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel with a look back at his legendary career.
His indelible touch is tightly woven into the fabric of global fashion. The man who became a mogul began his career as a merchandiser at an Italian department store. From buying clothing to eventually designing them for various companies, in 1975 a business partner convinced him to start his own line, which would eventually become synonymous with style and fashion culture the world over.
Rolling? We're ready to go. Okay.
Canadian fashion journalist Jeannie Becker covered the Italian designer's international stardom, even dedicating a chapter of her first book to their time spent together.
And see Giorgio Armani hovering near the elevators.
As you read those words in your book and you reflect back on the time you spent with Giorgio Armani,
I just had such fondness for him. You could ask anyone in the fashion business. No one would have a bad word to say about Armani. It wasn't in your face fashion. Check these shoulder pads. This is an old Armani jacket I've hung on to.
in those personal moments when you were sitting down with Giorgio Armani, what will you remember?
I will remember what I always remember about every great person I've ever sat down with, and that's their kindness and their generosity of spirit. And he certainly had that.
Beneath the elegant facade, the Italian designer shared that his greatest weakness was his inability to relinquish control.
I say no, it doesn't work. That sometimes is hard.
In a brief joint statement, his family and fashion house shared their commitment to protecting what he built and to carrying his company forward in his memory.
Was Armani one of one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A true original. It was a time. It was such a time in fashion, an era that I don't think will ever be replicated.
Giorgio Armani was 91 years old. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
There are more than 290 films to see at this year's TIFF, but tickets for the most popular movie premieres are already sold out.
If you're still hoping to buy tickets, be careful you don't get scammed. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert.
Tickets to TIFF will be in demand in Toronto for the next 11 days, and many movie lovers say they're still hoping they can find seats to see the latest cinema has to offer.
I'm really excited. I want to rush a bunch of movies because I know that many of them are already sold out.
Online is you have to really check right now because there's a lot of scams going on.
For TIFF's 50th anniversary, there are some major premieres. The festival has partnered with Ticketmaster, and tickets for many popular films are already sold out. You can find tickets on the resale market. For the most sought-after films, there are only a few left, often selling for hundreds of dollars a seat.
So if you want to get access to a ticket, you might have to go through resale platforms like Ticketmaster or StubHub, or turn to social media in order to find them.
Go Confirm is an anti-scam app that allows people to buy and sell tickets on social media safely. With buzz around TIFF building and more interest in trying to secure tickets, scams are already underway.
It's a massive festival, and anytime you have really in-demand tickets where things have sold out, scammers proliferate.
Ticket scams usually happen through social media websites. Often it's scammers who reach out to film fans who post they're looking to buy tickets.
So they might be posting in a subreddit or Facebook saying, hey, I desperately want to go see Frankenstein, or I want to go see Good Fortune. Does anyone have a ticket? And then scammers will reach out to them directly.
Reseller sites that offer ticket guarantees will cost you more for tickets and added charges. Purchasing through social media sites may be cheaper, but come with added risks. Protect yourself with apps like Go Confirm or other tools to prevent yourself from being scammed. Pat Foran, CTV News.
A warning now from a couple whose search for a missing pet made them the target of scammers.
What seemed like the promise of a happy ending gave way to a series of red flags and ultimately led them to call police. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has that story.
So the cat just ran outside and hopped over the fence.
It's been 5 days since Sushi the cat ran away from his Guelph Hermosa home.
He managed to get out because the doors got left open.
Like Sushi's fur, the search so far has been spotty.
We've seen him a couple times here and there, but we've always kind of come up short.
Owners Joshua Langdon and Alexa Romat say they took their search to social media for a better chance at finding their fur baby.
This guy messaged me saying that he found the cat and that and sent me a picture of him as well.
It kind of looked like him, but at the same time, not really.
The message came from an unknown email address demanding a reward of $250. The couple says they were initially convinced Sushi had been found.
We just kind of kept going back and forth messaging, but he was really adamant on wanting a reward. And he was essentially just putting up the cat for ransom, that if we didn't give him money and send him an e-transfer, then we wouldn't be able to get our cat back.
So they weighed their options.
We ended up calling the cops just to find out kind of what we could do.
Upon closer inspection of the photo, it actually appeared it was digitally altered, and then it was totally fake.
They just took the cat's head and just placed it on another cat,
sending Sushi's owners back to square one.
While we were chatting with the cop, actually, he showed up right by the gate. So right when he was there, we just kind of stopped everything trying to go get him. But right when he saw us, he just bolted the other way.
Romat says she's received similar scam messages since.
Out in Grimsby, they said that they saw somebody kick him at a gas station and then wanted us to go meet them at the gas station. Like, you're just preying on people's downfalls. It's not right.
And while the couple continues their search, they offer this advice.
If they're making you try and show up in weird spaces and demanding money and stuff like that, there's a very good chance that that's not real.
If somebody has found your cat or your pet, most likely they're not going to try to get money out of you. They're going to return your pet.
Police say no one has been arrested in this case at this point, but they urge anyone who may be a victim of fraud or a potential scam to reach out or report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News.
Kevin Gausman gets the ball tonight as the Toronto Blue Jays open a big 3-game series against the Yankees in New York.
This is driven to right center field. Friedel going back. It's gone.
We'll see maybe if the Jays can hit more dingers after Wednesday night's thrilling win over the Reds. Toronto hit 5 home runs in a 13-9 wild win. The Blue Jays lead the Yankees by 3 games atop the American League East. New York gained a half game with a win over Houston last night.
Felix Auger-Aliassime will try to book a ticket to his first Grand Slam final tonight at the U.S. Open, but it won't be easy. The 25-year-old from Montreal will take on world #1 Yannick Sinner of Italy in the men's semifinals in New York. Sinner has dropped only 1 set the entire tournament. Their match goes tonight at 7.
Justin Bieber released his new double album Swag 2 earlier this morning.
I don't really need a reason to star you, that's all you. Don't pretend I got a reason to call you.
The album was a few hours late. Bieber posting on social media overnight saying there was a problem uploading it to Spotify and Apple Music. In one post he writes, "I'm sorry for the wait. They're telling me any second." This album is part 2 of the first Swag album, which was released July 11th.
Stars have tech issues too. An iconic piece of cinema history held by Darth Vader in the Star Wars franchise has just sold for millions at auction.
You are unwise to lower your defenses.
Vader's iconic red lightsaber went for more than $3.6 million US. The lightsaber was one of several famous movie and television props included in Prop Store's 3-day entertainment memorabilia live auction in Los Angeles. Other items included the whip used by Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and Michael Keaton's Batman suit. Short break, more when we return. Metrolinx is confirming what we already kind of knew, that the long-delayed Eglinton Crosstown LRT will not open in September. CEO Michael Lindsay says the new target is now next month.
We are literally putting the system through its paces. I would acknowledge that it's frustrating that that's revealing issues that we have to solve, but I'm happy that we're solving those issues now in this trial running period, as opposed to when people are trying to ride this line.
Once issues are resolved, Metrolinx says a 30-day revenue demonstration service period is needed to show the system is operating as designed, and passenger service will then be gradually ramped up. The province says it has, quote, full confidence in Metrolinx's efforts on the project, which started construction 14 years ago.
All right, we want to believe this.
It'll be big if it opens next month. Yeah, let's have a party.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. And comfortable, but there is a warning.
Yeah, and you know, there are a few parties happening in the GTA. So if you're going to be out and about, maybe celebrating TIFF, just be mindful of the fact that it is windy today and will be through the early part of the evening. One more look at the special weather statement and the wind warning. The wind warning is what you see there in purple. Let's take a look at some of these wind gusts, upwards about 40K at this time. And there's your overnight at a glance, 11 for the low. One more look at your TIFF opening weekend forecast. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.